All right, everyone, thank you again for joining us this morning, or this afternoon, I guess now it is. Once again, my name is Jacqueline, and I'm a content and marketing specialist here at SAIT. Before we get underway today, I would like to start with a land acknowledgement. So SAIT is situated, and we would like to acknowledge that SAIT is situated on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy. We are meeting and gathered on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, which today encompasses the Indigenous people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, the Siksika, the Piikani, the Kainai, Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, and the Northwest Métis Homeland Region 3. All right, we're just going to get the presentation started. So once again, welcome to our career conversation about updates to SAIT's project management certificate. I'd like to start by introducing Chris Wharton, product manager, and also Diane Rohleder, who's an advisor, and both of them are here with the Center for Continuing Education and Professional Studies. And I'd like to pass it over to Chris to get the presentation underway. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Jacqueline. Hi, Diane. Hi, everyone. You know, that great background music that brought us in. I mean, some of us could handle an hour of that, you know, very relaxing and peaceful. But we have a more exciting show in store for you this afternoon. So my name is Chris Wharton. I'm the product manager for the Center for Continuing Education and Professional Studies at SAIT. And thank you again for joining us. The reason we exist as a center is to enable transformational learning experiences to power careers. And with 500 plus courses, we really do have something for everyone. But today we are focused on project management, and we've long been known for our project management training at SAIT. Our certificate has undergone some changes recently, and really we want to tell you about that. And I'm very fortunate to have two folks with me today who know a lot about the subject of project management and a lot about our certificate. So first, I'd like to introduce Cindy Kennedy. So with 30 years of project management experience and 20 years working with SAIT as an instructor and curriculum developer, Cindy knows what's happening in this industry and what's happening at SAIT. So very lucky to have Cindy with us. She's proven the value of project management training in her own career and is very passionate about sharing insights and experiences that'll help SAIT learners develop their own skills. So we look forward to hearing more from Cindy. And of course, we also have Neil Sanderson with us today. And Neil's been delivering technology projects for over 30 years across a very wide range of industries and clients. And Neil has also been facilitating project management and leadership training at SAIT for SAIT learners and corporate clients all the way since 2004. So Cindy, Neil, welcome. Thank you both for joining us today as well.
Thanks, Chris.
I'll get us started with what I consider kind of a softball question, if you will, and I'll put it to both of you. It's really, as we look at the changes to our training, let's start broader and look at, you know, what is project management? I mean, all of us manage projects in our workday at home. I mean, just getting myself and the kids out the door this morning felt like a project. So really, let's look at how do we know when we're working on a project versus a series of tasks? So what is project management? What exactly does a project manager do?
I can take that first, Chris.
Okay.
We can really easily recognize in a business or an organizational setting that project management includes the marshaling of resources to reach an important goal. And as those initiatives increase in complexity, we use tools and techniques to plan and track money, work, schedules, and people. But beyond that, there's other important skills that we have to bring to bear on projects to help us work better with our teams and with our stakeholders, to buy goods and services, and to manage risks as well. Project managers have all of these concerns to juggle while leading us towards our goals. And Chris, it's interesting you're talking about getting out the door as being a project. This is something that in professional associations of project management, they're beginning to recognize as well, that project management is a life skill. And you're going to, your identification of objectives and being able to meet those objectives predictably is really important personal skill also.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I know, in a few minutes, I'm going to talk to Cindy about project management training for non-project managers. So exactly that, the techniques and the skills that one would learn as a project manager can be applied very broadly, right? Across industries and even at home, right? That's great. Before we jump into well, the slide that has appeared is kind of the industry outlook for project managers and that. Neil, do you want to take us through a little bit about what's happening in industry, trends in project management, some opportunities, even getting into potential salaries in that?
Sure. Yeah, I can do that as well. So the one thing I think that I always do is when I think about what's happening with project management is how much change is there going on around there, because change, new things and change spells changes for organizations, which spells work and demand for project managers. So if we look over the last 3 years, it's just crazy, the amount of accelerating change. And so, really that is a signal to us that project managers are going to continue to be in high demand. A little more focused though, if I look at the Project Management Institute's Pulse of the Profession report from 2021, they're focused there in that global report that we're seeing things like digital transformation, increased organizational adaptability initiatives, business strategy, operating efficiencies. These are all changes. These are all trends where change is headed. And then so there's also, from a social standpoint, increased attention to implementation of diversity, equity, inclusion. So just the dimensions of change are really endless. I think the good news for us in project management as a profession and those that are interested in it is that it's proven that the skills and experience acquired in project management can be used to help in all of these kinds of changes. And even additionally, those skills are portable from one area to another. So project management's about helping organizations of any size to adapt, and that adaptation and changing is not going to go away anytime soon. Just quickly though, some of the things that are happening that are a bit new here, if we zoom in a bit on project management, is that leaders are starting to go beyond this idea of agile and adaptable, and now are talking about something called the gymnastic enterprise. So it wasn't good enough to be flexible. Now we have to be thinking about, as business leaders, to understand and consider several different possible methodologies, choose the right and best situation, or the right and best methods for situations and goals, and then take your team and execute on that. So just even that next level of flexibility. And the PMI, Project Management Institute, in their Project Management Institute, or their Project Management Body of Knowledge, the PMBOK, it's recognized this, and it's changed its version 7 to become much broader and focused on project managers' exercise of judgment. So that's a big trend, right? From more mechanical to a lot more exercise of judgment and flexibility. Really, the focus is on adaptability, innovation, and collaborative teams to face our current and future problems. Now, I know that you asked me here about how this hits the road for learners, and I've been tracking the list of professionals, or the personal skills and professional skills that are most desired by organizational leaders for more than 20 years. And project management skills consistently rank in the top 5 skills that executives want in their employees. And for all of us that are interested, these are skills that I want to emphasize are portable across companies, across industries, and across sectors. And then we've had this slide up here for you to look at for a while. In terms of salaries, project management salaries remain really strong. So for those getting into project management, there are coordinator and junior PMs that in the 60 to 70K range, but that's going to grow over $100,000 a year for intermediate experienced PMs. I was just doing some quick internet searches here this morning, and those are in Canadian dollars. And then it's also very possible for senior experienced consulting project managers that are leading large teams to even eclipse and go over $200,000 a year. So that's a summary on where we're at and why you might be interested in project management and what that might mean in terms of career development for you.
Right. Excellent. Thanks for that. That's a comprehensive look at what's going on. I wonder, you know, Cindy and yourself, you've both been in the project management space for 30 years, and not really I'm sure you could talk a lot about what's changed in those 30 years, but you know, overall, it's remained a consistently sought after skill set, like you said, in the top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. And you know, when we do go across industries, and really, like you said, recognizing project management skills outside of work even. I did want to ask Sydney, you know, your thoughts on project management training, because I know you've been at SAIT for a number of years teaching that, and in your classroom, you often don't just get obviously those project managers. So what kind of learners take our project management courses at SAIT, and to what end?
Well, that's a really good question. And I mean, Neil would find the same, but there's quite a variety of people that take SAIT's project management courses and find value in them. And there's people seeking CAPM or PMP certification, but you know, there's many others that just want to better manage projects assigned to them as they do their day-to-day work. And I think we've all had the situation or heard of, you know, why don't you get this person to take care of it because they get the job done. And people don't necessarily, more and more they do now, they can manage a project and it is a project. But even if managers don't necessarily recognize that, they do recognize when people get jobs done, when they need it, how they need it. But at SAIT, for the most part, I would say overall, the learners want career growth. And Neil and I often ask people at the beginning of a course or workshop, you know, why are you here, so on and so forth. And they are really hoping to progress into a leadership role or at a more advanced level in their trade or in their profession. We have lots of people from construction, we have oil and gas, engineering, a number of IT, small business people come just to do better, get better managing their business. I've had a number from banking, and then there's hospitality, and just people that want to do their, like Neil said, a better life skill at managing what they do in their own life. But many people really are aiming for the PMP or CAPM certification. And then an added value, if people have that, the SAIT courses are great for earning PDUs to maintain the certifications. And, you know, in looking back, and I find that people tell me often that they take a course or they've taken something in a course, especially on online, because they can apply it immediately. And they said they've been able to go back to work, apply the methods or tools they've learned, and make their projects more successful. So there's different reasons people take it, but usually to advance and move ahead in their work.
Right. Excellent. Yeah, thank you. So as you know, being part of the recent renewal of our project management certificate, could you please take a few minutes and just let everyone else know a little bit more about the new and improved certificate?
Okay, I think the first thing I'll chat about the micro-credential concept. Some people might be familiar with it, but some may not. And I'm just going to briefly talk about it. So what a micro-credential is, as opposed to previous versions of the SAIT courses, is, you know, overall, they're recognized It's a short training program that equips you with key skills that employers are looking for. So when you finish that micro-credential training program or course, you now are recognized as having key skills and knowledge to go ahead and do something on the job. So the micro-credential certification is evidence of that you've been assessed, you've learned specific competencies, and you're able to apply them on the job. And these certifications can be standalone. So someone could just take the project planning micro-credential and work. It would help them maybe move into a role as a project planner. Or they can be a building block to a larger formal certification, such as SAIT's Certificate of Completion. And once you have one, you have that initial building block. So it's always valuable. And then the great thing too, like other types of learning, you can share them on your resume in LinkedIn or any job related website. So you can show them to the world. And
Nice.
then what I'll do, I'll just take a few minutes to talk about the courses. So there are,
Cindy,
yes.
sorry to interrupt. Just before we move on from micro credentials, because I think the term it's often used and sometimes maybe not understood by potential students in that. If I can just add one thing to your very great description there of micro credentials, lots of great stuff on the slide too. But one thing that I found that really helps distinguish a micro credential from a say a regular old course, you actually have to earn that micro credential. So you don't come and show up and sit there and walk away with a micro credential. You actually have to achieve an 80% in the course to earn that micro credential. Now, if you happen to get a lower mark, that's all right, but you will not get a micro credential. You'll pass the course and you can use it towards the certificate, but you will not get the credential. So I just wanted to make that clear to everyone that just like you said, we've identified competencies in the outcome of the course, and we have assessments that ensure you have met those competencies.
Yeah, it's a good point. I won't talk about it in the courses, but most of the courses have 4 assignments. A lot of them are collaboratives. There's some individual, but those assessments are, those assignments are what are used to assess your abilities in the different areas. Yeah, that's great, Chris.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I might just chime in here too about the value of the credential. And over the years, and Cindy would agree with this too, we certainly see a lot of students coming to courses and coming to programs about project management looking for that credential. And I just want to speak for the strength of the SAIT brand. SAIT's a trusted industry partner. They've got a great reputation. And so that credential coming from this post-secondary institution definitely has some value for you. And it being broken into these micro-credential parts, you've got an even earlier opportunity to use that as a differentiator for yourself as you're going out and trying to move up in your career.
Right. Nice addition. Yeah, Neil, for sure. And Cindy, when I interrupted you, not rudely, I hope, you were going to move on to the next piece about actually giving a little tour of the course. Oh, there they are, the courses.
There they are. Thank you. Thank you for stopping me. Okay, so just give an overview. So once you complete all the 6 project management micro-credential courses, you're going to have the knowledge, and based on what you do in the courses, hands-on experience, so that you can skillfully lead projects within your level of project management competency. So Neil and I get these questions. I'm sure he gets it a lot. So you can't necessarily take the courses and then jump out and manage building a plane, but something that you have expertise in and at your level, you should be able to go and do a great job of managing those. And I would say that's the primary benefit to individuals in your career, is that you can go and successfully lead a project. But the bonus is, as Neil was mentioning, you're also going to receive SAIT's Project Management Certificate of Completion, which you can hang on your wall. It's formally recognized as what you've accomplished from an education point of view. And so now I'll just briefly summarize each of those 6 micro-credentials. And I'm going to touch on what are you going to learn. So there'll be a little bit of a list what you learn. what are the skills and competencies you're going to be recognized for? And then just how can you apply those learnings to your job day to day? And in each of the courses, there are real life project management case studies that you apply what you've learned to, so you get some practice in using them. The first micro-credential is Project Management Essentials. And there we look at value creation, important to the organization, the 12 principles of project management. We look at team leadership. That's an important domain and principle, project management principle. And we'll look at essential concepts and methods for managing the key parts of your project. So you look at what's needed to manage a project end to end. And so that's going to give you the ability to go back to work, choose the right approach for managing your project, and lead the delivery of those key project management deliverables. And on the job, you're going to be able to lead a project at your level from initiating through to closing. You'll be able to use the best practices you've learned and keep your stakeholders continually informed of the progress of the project, all the issues, and any changes. And the second course is Initiating Projects. So there we're going to look at critical elements of the project business case. That's the foundation of any project. Practice developing the project charter. Use tools and methods for identifying stakeholders and analyzing them, and explore effective leadership styles. And with this micro-credential, you'll know how to initiate a project. So you'll go back and you'll know you need a business case and how to engage key stakeholders when you're defining the project. So everyone needs to collaborate, contribute, and agree on that. And on the job, you're going to be able to work with your key stakeholders to develop a project charter that's high quality, that you can use throughout the project. You'll gain agreement on overall scope and get management approval to carry out the project. So you'll be expert at initiating projects at your level. And the third is planning projects. So in that course, you're going to explore how to plan projects based on a clear scope definition, which is absolutely necessary for every project, and then to develop a good schedule, a solid budget, the risk register, and also resource quality and procurement management plans. And Neil was talking about this, gymnastics, flexibility, and so on. And an important part for planning a project now is tailoring your project. So that's a big, and I believe Neil was alluding to that. It's a big theme throughout PMBOK 7 is tailoring the development approach, how things are done, the tools that are used, and so on, that it's suitable to the project at hand. And another important part is developing key metrics that you can use throughout the project to measure and communicate performance. And with this micro-credential, you're going to have the competencies to skillfully lead the creation of an effective tailored project plan. So that's project manager or project planners, schedulers, things like that. And back at work, you're going to be able to plan your project working with your team and the key stakeholders. And you should be able to go ahead with organized, well-orchestrated approach to completing your project successfully. And the fourth course is Executing and Closing Projects. So this course covers effective projects for leading the different aspects of your project based on the project plan to maximize value delivery. So an important part, the underlying important part of projects is to really deliver value and as soon as you can. And you'll learn how to motivate and develop your team so that they produce high quality work. They'll control changes. You'll do that together. Conduct procurements. You'll learn to communicate effectively with your stakeholders, control risk, and regularly measure project performance so everyone is aware where things are at, how they're going, and professionally close your project. And with this micro-credential, you'll be equipped with the knowledge to basically lead yourself, the team, and the stakeholders in high-quality work to produce the deliverable that your customer, your end users, your sponsor are looking for. And on the job, basically, you'll be able to lead your team in execution of a project, to adapt to changes. You'll have the flexibility and the deep understanding of the project to do that and successfully complete the project. Then the fifth course focuses on project risk methods and practices. So in project management essentials and project planning, you look at the project risk register, and that's the basic tool for risk management and how to populate that. But here we're going to take a deeper dive into the methods and tools you can use in addition to the risk register to skillfully manage risk. So you'll investigate the vital concepts of risk management. That's, to keep in mind, how to create a tailored risk management plan, identify specific project risks using different tools, then prioritize them, and then quantify the potential impacts of risks that are very significant, and then implement responses that are appropriate to your project to ensure that you achieve the objectives of the project. And so with this micro-credential, it builds on the other courses. You'll know how to use a variety of effective methods for assessing your project risk and managing it. And on the job, you'll be able to lead the project risk management activities, minimize the negative impact of threats, and take advantage of opportunities to meet your project's objectives. So, the interesting thing with this micro-credential, if I look back on different roles I've taken, in addition to a project manager, sometimes I've just led risk management sessions. So on a very big, large program, I think if I remember correctly, I suggested it, but we had a number of risk management sessions because there were high critical work to be implemented, and I was able to lead those. I knew how it should go. So this really gives you skills that you can use in a number of different ways. And then finally, and importantly, we have the Agile Project Management micro-credential. So here you'll study the fundamentals of Agile and then practice implementing the latest Agile techniques. You're going to learn to apply Agile methods based on the all-important Agile mindset. You'll be able to explain to teams Agile concepts. You'll be able to create the project theme and epics, write and estimate user stories, or at least coach people in doing it, define the minimum viable product, measure team velocity, and manage risk. So it's a really good foundation for Agile projects. With this micro-credential, you'll have fundamental Agile project management knowledge that you can apply on the job to start leading and effectively contributing to the Agile projects.
Wow, great. Great summary there, Cindy. So you went with a great summary of each course out of this certificate, 6 courses. They all sound worthwhile on their own. And like you said, in your experience and Neil's experience, sometimes you'd have folks who would take that Proj 020, for example, to get that nice end-to-end look at what a project looks like. And they may come back, or they may not. That might be enough for the role they're in, and then they can build on it as they go. That's great.
Hey,
Yes.
Chris, I wonder if I could add some extra color here
For sure.
back to the program. So I think there's some really important things to add because Cindy walked us through very effectively what is going to happen here. But I wanted to just add a bit about the who and the how, because I think that's really important. So this was a redesign or a renewal of a course, and it's an award-winning program here in Southern Alberta, and it's been recognized as such. That was the previous one, and Cindy was one of the original developers of that course, and her and I and others from industry that are senior project managers have been involved in teaching that. So that background went with Cindy and her team in the renewal of this course. So all of that industry experience, all of the experience of how to be effective with teaching project management to participants and get the most for them. That all that experience went into this redevelopment and this refresh effort. And so that's been an excellent contribution there. And I also wanted to talk about briefly the how part. So what you can't see here is the approach that's so effective in general, which is learning about concepts, but then working with others and practicing those concepts together in order to really understand and really learn so that you can go out in the next week and start to apply some of the learning. So I think those are some really important things. If you're looking at this program versus other programs, the effectiveness of this SAIT program really stands up because of those aspects.
Right. Yeah. Great points, Neil, for sure. And thanks for adding that. I also noticed, in red there, you have the hours next to each course. And so, if you're looking at doing this face-to-face, we also offer it online, self-paced or asynchronous, or virtual, which is the synchronous through Zoom. It looks like you can get through this certificate in a few months, really, if you wanted to take every course, which is great as well for those that want to take it while there's without taking time off work or that, right? So that will be good to get the training as you need it.
Yeah, and as Diane probably knows, there's a number of people that take a couple of courses at a time. And in the online, but yeah, I guess the classroom too, if they're, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, Cindy. Yeah, we do have people that are taking them one at a time, maybe two at a time, depending on their schedule, what works best for them. With our new scheduling, the course is now scheduled for July and August. Students can complete 4 courses within 1 month and take the last course starting in October. So it is a short time for if students want that to complete this new program.
Right. Excellent. One thing before we move on to the next slide or the next part, you had mentioned PMBOK, Cindy, which I think most of the viewers probably know is the project management body of knowledge. And when you say, moving from 6 to the new edition 7, I wonder if you can, briefly highlight some of the significant changes from PMBOK 6 to 7 and how that's represented in this new certificate.
Yes, I'll do that. And then just to broaden it a bit, is Diane can give us a little more information on the change being in advising the number of hours and number of courses and things like that. But, really what we did when we renewed the courses is took the good that was there, award-winning, as Neil said, and kept that, and then added the new and improved things from PMBOK 7. But just first, what I want to say, we talk about PMBOK 7 and 6, and there may be people in our webinar that have taken some courses and have a PMBOK 6. So one thing the people from PMI, when they were starting on their own redevelopment, is they emphasized that PMBOK 7 does not replace PMBOK 6. All it does is change the key focus of the project management guidance, as Neil said, to broaden it. So rather than have strictly predictive only process-based view of project management, as Neil said, it brings in all the different approaches and more of this tailoring. So if you already have a copy of PMBOK 6, it's still a great companion document, and it has a lot of details around the methods that are only mentioned at a high level in the new PMBOK. But for the most part, PMBOK has moved away from this predictive process-based view and it to a more of a principle and domain-based focus. So domain always sounds like academic to me, but principle, there's 12 key principles, and that undermine all that we do in project management. And they're not new. A lot of them are old. They're just restated and broadened for what's going on in the world today. And it's emphasizing key competencies. So domain is really a key area of competency in project management. So one is stakeholders, one is team, another is development approach and life cycle, and so on. And that's something that we're focusing on more than the process. So the interesting thing, the PMBOK guide is much thinner than the last one, but the main reason is it's focused on principle and domains and all the details on the methods you can use. There's a summary, a method section, but when we talk about those, and we do explore some of the very good methods that are used widely in industry in Calgary and so on. But there are other resources like PMI Plus that has all the details. So that's kind of the big changes we did to refocus and renew it based on PMBOK 7, and to really have a broader view of all types of projects.
Excellent.
Maybe
Yeah.
Diane can talk about the actual certificate changes.
For sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. So the certificate that was the applied management that was being offered had 114 hours, required hours, and then 30 hours of electives. This new program now is 6 courses with no electives. So this is allowing students to start and complete and apply their knowledge quicker, for sure, for their whatever role they're looking for.
Excellent. Thanks, Diane. One other piece, since we were talking, PMI, PMBOK, and Cindy, you had mentioned the CAPM and the PMP exams that a lot of our learners are looking to complete as well. And I was wondering, Neil, I know you have some experience with our PMP exam prep course and different preparatory courses with our students. Could you spend a little time just introducing briefly the CAPM and the PMP exams through PMI?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Chris. So the PMP, that's a project management professional, and it is the most widely recognized professional designation from the International Project Management Institute Professional Association. And there's over 1 million PMPs worldwide. And that sounds like a big number, but there's a much, much bigger number of projects now and growing in the future. And the PMP is the one that's most recognized and most sought after. And it's a differentiator for you for sure, in terms of showing your skill as a project manager. It's really meant for those with 3+ years experience working in structured projects. And so it's going to be a long exam, so an educational component, and then also some experience of 3 years that you'd have to demonstrate. The CAPM, that's a pretty big bar for the PMP, right? To have those 3 years, because if you're looking, how do I get those 3 years? Well, you don't have a PMP to win the job there. So PMI introduced the CAPM, the Certified Associate in Project Management, and that's more, just to simplify it, an apprentice level designation with less experience requirements. You still have to understand the same methodology and pass an academic test on PM, but it's a lower entry bar to get in at that level. And it really has value too, as a demonstration to a potential employer that you know what you're doing from a PM standpoint, albeit at a little more junior level. So these certificates help differentiate you from your competitors when you're seeking a project management position. And in some cases, in some industries, a CAPM or even a PMP are even required now to be eligible to apply. So, and an example of that is most software development PM positions locally. It's a requirement to have PMP now. So it's something to build into your career development plan.
Okay, no, that's a great explanation of the two different distinctions there. Now, with my 10 years experience of trying to get my kids out the door, would that qualify for the 3+ years for the PMP? No?
Depends how structured your approach is.
Well, I really work on risk management, trying to make sure one of them brings his knapsack, every day. So, but thank you, Neil. That was good. And I just want to end before we open it up to questions and that. Speaking of the PMP, so we do have the PMP exam prep course at SAIT. It's not part of the certificate. It is a standalone course. And we have offerings. We offered a couple in spring. We have a few more starting in the fall. And I wanted to share that one thing that we've started this year is called the Guaranteed Pass. So the PMP exam, I can't remember, and maybe Neil, the pass rate, but it's not the highest of exams. It's a tricky one. So what we've guaranteed is, you sign up for our PMP exam prep course, you make it through, you take your PMP exam through PMI, not through SAIT. If you happen to not pass that, you can come back and take the PMP exam prep course again for free through SAIT, and then try again. So the pass rate, Neil, do you happen to have that information?
No, I don't. I think 70% comes to mind here for me, but
Okay.
don't quote me on that. It's challenging, and for those of us who may have been out of school for a while, they administer it in a test center, and so that can be a little bit foreign as well. So it is challenging, but it's not overwhelming, right? So if you go through a program, you get some coaching, you're serious about your preparation, then that story has a happy ending.
Right. Excellent. And one final standalone course that I wanted to let everyone know about is, again, through PMI, we are an authorized training provider at SAIT. We offer the Discipline Agile Scrum Master, and that course will be offered this fall. And Neil, can you briefly touch on what might be covered in that course, Disciplined Agile Scrum Master?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry, Cindy.
Go ahead, Cindy. I'll chuck it over to you.
Okay. I was looking at this yesterday. In fact, last Saturday, one of the courses it started. And there's 2 PMI-based Scrum Master certifications, and that's really exciting because there is a huge demand for that in certain organizations. So the 2 are Disciplined Agile Scrum Master and Disciplined Agile Senior Scrum Master. And like I said, employers that either are moving into a Scrum environment or are already established in it, they are typically wanting Scrum certified individuals to lead their teams. And in some places I've worked, we've taken a couple of days training, but not always getting the certification. So the first certification is for people new to Agile. And it's a great way to get the knowledge and everything to move into leadership or contribute it really productively to a Scrum team initiative. And the second is for people who have at least 2 years of experience, who really want to advance their knowledge of Agile and their skills so that they could take on much larger or high profile initiatives. So it's really a great way to get into the world of Agile. Or Lean construction is another, it's separate, but a lot of the concepts and the way you do things in Agile are being applied there as well. So you can actually apply it to different types of projects. And I would just say, I think Neil and I have learned a lot of these Agile methods and techniques, they're more formalized now, but we've been using them for years. So it's not all brand new, but it really brings together and adds to an effective way to deliver value. Sorry, Neil.
No, that's fine. I was just going to add to, this is why I love the micro-credential approach, is, it's challenging to get to a PMP or even a CAPM, right? There's a lot of dedicated study, and you're learning a lot along the way, but it is challenging and it's an investment. With the micro-credential, you get a chance to really focus on something that's practical and interesting to you, and immediately have another piece that you can add to your portfolio as a differentiator.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, thank you. I'm sure we could continue this for another hour or so, but we'll. I haven't been keeping an eye on the chat or that, but I believe there might be some questions out there. So, thank you, Neil and Cindy. That was awesome. Great information. Diane, thanks again for helping us understand the new certificate. And Jacqueline, I guess we can open it up to some questions that are out there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. So the first question is, I currently work as a manager in retail. Do you think that taking some of these project management courses would benefit my role? And if so, which ones?
Well, I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited every time I talk to a brand new class, because, I think they call it project management, but they should call it project delivery skills. And, so your working in a team is going to be enhanced, whether you're leading or not, by understanding what's the approach that the leader is going to take, right? So I would start at the overview stage as well, right? So let's get a well-rounded idea of what is the full suite of things. What's the overall goal, and how do we work through the steps? And then the further courses then drive into much more detail in various segments along the way.
Yeah, I'll just add right now in one of my courses, I have someone who's it is a manager in retail. And it's really interesting. He wants to be better at managing projects, but through the course, collaboratively, of course, but he's using his experiences at a 7-Eleven. He was a manager, and they were bringing in, people could order things online and deliver it, and how they manage that project and how could they do it better. So, and I've had others too, but yeah, retail, there's lots of opportunity, lots of projects. It's always changing, as Neil said.
Great answer. Thank you so much. Next question is, are there different types of project managers?
Well, there's a broad question. You know what? I'll just say the way I read that question, that's one thing I found interesting through the years is, for example, Neil is a different project manager than I am, right? He has a different style. And I've worked in organizations with different project managers, and they have a different style and approach, just their personal way. But all of us are successful. And I see, wow, their team loves them. They love their style. I thought they just like my style. You kind of wonder, but there are different types of project managers. And then, of course, when you go, as Neil mentioned, from junior to more advanced, you do things differently, right? Your approach is different, more polished, and so on. So they're in a few dimensions, there's different types for sure. Neil?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would agree with that for sure. Like there's what I'm always impressed about when I go to open enrollment and meet individuals from different disciplines is, as they talk about their project challenges, each different industry really has some different pressure points. And they tend to have project managers that have a little bit similar styles in approaching those. Like construction, for example, is all about resource coordination and supply chain challenges. There's others like business process courses, projects are much more, their pressure points are in terms of organizing people and the change of people's behaviors and whatnot. So it's just so wide and so dynamic. And like Cindy was saying, there's room for all sorts of styles as well, right? And so your approach, whether that's as the taskmaster, that there's that kind, and then there's also the collaborative, team supporter sort of a thing. So, it's very, very wide, and learning a set of really good mechanics is a great starting point. And then understanding yourself and developing your soft skills will help you grow into the best project manager you can be.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that, Neil. The next question is, what is CAPM versus the Project Management Professional Certification? Do I need both?
Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, so as I was saying earlier, CAPM is Certified Associate in Project Management, and that's kind of an apprentice level. And so that helps you get a certification without having a lot of experience in projects, right? You still have to understand the academic part of it and meet those requirements. But so that's designed to really get you participating at that kind of a level. PMP is for more experience, even broader set of information, knowledge, and experience that you are being expected to apply. Some people that already have a lot of practical project management experience will jump straight to the PMP, but it's a more challenging step for sure.
Neil, do you see a lot of folks who do go CAPM and then PMP? Like they actually take both, or do they build up their experience and just challenge the PMP at the end?
Well, I think you'd be in a position to, and I've got a few electrical hiccups here at my house, it looks like, with this storm that's going on right now. But, I think it's early enough with CAPM that people are still kind of working through that as a progression. Like I think that second path that you're talking about, I could see, you learn the basics you learn the academic work through the CAPM, take your exam, get your credential, work, and then be in a position to do less studying to go and actually write the PMP.
Right.
I
Thanks.
think it's a really good value, right? Like, you have something to take forward to a potential employer or your employer to say, look, I have an internationally recognized credential that will help me make the transition. Because otherwise you have to try and find a way to get that PM experience, that project experience without, in a little more difficult way, maybe.
Thanks.
Great answer. Thank you. All right, next question. What are some key updates or changes from PMBOK 6 to PMBOK 7? Are there maybe like a top 2 or 3 updates?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I, like I mentioned, although it's just words, the key changes that I'll say the top 2 is to reorganize, well, thin it down without all the detailed methods and processes, but one part of it, the standard base is focused on principles, so that a project manager and the team need to work through. So it's stewardship, team, stakeholders, value, systems thinking, leadership, tailoring, quality, complexity, risk, adaptability and resiliency, and change. So those are principles. You learn about them. What do they mean? And how do they make us, how do we use them to manage projects better for our clients? And then the Guide to Project Management body of knowledge focuses on project management domains. So things that we as project managers need to have competencies in. So stakeholders, I mentioned some team development approach and life cycle planning is a domain, project work. So that's how we get work done. It's a lot of the process is moved into the project work domain. Delivery. So what we're delivering, effectively delivering it depending on our industry. Measurement is a big one, making sure we have metrics and we track and report. And then managing uncertainty. So there's a big focus on risk there. And then two other main items are, there's just one, section dedicated to tailoring projects. It's important, as Neil brought out, flexibility, gymnastics, and so on. And then there is another section on models, methods, and artifacts. So that's kind of the overall reorganization, refocusing of PMBOK 7. So hopefully that's 4 changes.
Yeah, and maybe I can add a little bit of that too. Like if you look at the PMBOK 6, and I got to the point, unfortunately, that I would memorize sections of the PMBOK, right? But it's more prescriptive. It tells you do this, follow these processes. It's more good mechanics, it's systematic, right? And so that really stands out. It was very strong in that way. When you get to PMBOK 7, there's a lot more. Just listen to that first list that Cindy was talking about, right? Those are all judgment, soft skills, leadership, kind of all those principles, right? So there's much more of a bend towards interpretation, judgment for the specific situation. So you still need those mechanics, but it's more focused on adaptability, which is what we need in our ever-changing future world.
Yeah, and I would add to that, the courses, the micro-credentials give a good blend of predictive type projects, because there's still a lot. Construction does a lot of predictive projects, engineering and so on. But also there's a balance with the agile or lean. Now, agile really came out of lean management. So there is a balance of the two, which can be applied to all kinds of projects.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now, we do have quite a few more questions, which is awesome. So I've been told we're good to go over just slightly. So happy to stick around if everyone else is. And the next question is, could I bring in a problem I'm having on the job to work on in the class, or is that too specific?
Well, if I could take that one, I always encourage people, especially when I do corporate courses, bring your problems to class, right? Let's talk about them. It's rich, and that's a great thing about the what they call the workshop style as well. We're learning about principles, but then you're understanding and applying that. Typically you ask questions, you're bringing your frame of reference, other people are bringing theirs, you're learning from each other. Yeah, absolutely. You bring it there. We may not solve all the problems from your specific project, but that's what makes the experience a rich experience.
Yeah, and I would say quite often in the courses, we're asking people, it's very collaborative, as we've mentioned, is, does anyone have an example of this? Or is there a challenge you are facing in this area? So we find people, they continually bring forth good examples, challenging examples. So yeah, definitely that makes it more rich.
Thank you. Next question. Does enrolling in this course require any prerequisites or prior degree/diploma completion?
I can take that one. So no, there is no admission requirements, or transcripts needed. When you're ready to start your program, you can register for your first course. You can hit the apply now button on the program page, and that will help us track with you through your learning journey and support you for the time you need. Students do have up to 3 years from the time they start their first course with us.
Thank you, Diane. Next question. I have taken some project management courses at SAIT before working toward an applied project management certificate. Are any of these courses transferable to the new micro-credential?
Again, we can work with students on a one-on-one basis. Please, our email address was on the screen there. Please reach out to us and we can connect with you to go through the courses you've completed.
Excellent. And Diane, I think you just answered this question, but what basic education do I need? Do they need any university education or any diploma?
Nope, nothing required. Start your first course.
Perfect. Thank you. Next question. I am CAPM certified with more than 5 years of experience in coordinating infrastructure projects. I want to prepare for my PMP exam this year. I want to know more about PMP exam prep.
So
One thing I'll say, Neil might have mentioned this, but if I remember, I looked at this a couple of days ago. If you have your CAPM, you can actually use that to satisfy the educational requirement for PMP. So that's one thing you can use toward the PMP. I can just quickly check that, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
And I was just going to add, and I know, Neil, I think you've taught our previous PMP exam prep course. We now use turnkey content from PMI. So it is a slightly different course. Now we also do have the guaranteed pass. So taking the SAIT PMP exam prep course, which also includes 30 minutes of live discussion with the instructor. And then, of course, if you're unsuccessful in your bid for the PMP, you can come back and take the course for free. So.
Well, and it's a good guide, like, you know, regardless of the approach right now, or that it's been updated, that the focus is on going through each one of the different areas in the PMBOK, because those exams are really focused on the PMBOK and PMI's specific ideas about how projects are supposed to be run, that you're going to have to understand and be able to answer appropriately on a test, right? So, you know, you would go through each one of the different areas, you know, now probably principles and domains in a really focused way with practice. And so that can be a really good part of your study plan. And you probably know from CAPM, taking your CAPM, you probably worked out your own sort of overall approach and planned towards getting to your CAPM, which included reviewing the PMBOK yourself, or having a study partner, or maybe working with a group, or taking a course, right? It's a bigger kind of exercise, but that prep program is a really good backbone of that exercise for you.
Great. Next question. Does PMP reward us with a special signature authorization, i.e. like welding engineering maybe, or being able to sign welding-based construction projects?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I can
Cindy.
repeat the question.
Yeah, just the first part.
Does PMP reward us with a special signature authorization?
I don't think that's true in the same way as engineers having to sign off architectural plans or that sort of a thing. You know, however, that credential is being looked for as a sign that you're a competent project manager.
Thanks for that, Neil. And I think Chris and Diane had to hop off just for another engagement. So Neil and Cindy, are you okay to just answer a couple more questions here?
Sure.
Okay, excellent. The next one is, are there grants or funding available for this program? I'm a stay-at-home mom transitioning into the workforce. Is this a one-year certificate?
I think it's something you could do within a year.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you know, Cindy would have to help confirm that. And then I would work through the SAIT student services, customer services to help you plan for that yourself.
Yeah, the one thing about the renewed courses is so planning has combined what used to be planning 1 and 2, and executing and closing combines 2 courses. So it really does make it quicker for people to get the certificate to finish all their courses.
Yeah, and I don't know how you've organized it there with the new approach there, Cindy, but I would think that it's probably conceptually easier to work through if you started with the overview or the basics, the essentials course, because it gives you an overall idea of what project management is all about and touches all of the areas, and that lets you know if it's something you're interested in or not, and then move on to the deeper dives in those other different domains or principal areas. Definitely, I've seen in the past people trying to juggle 2 or 3 different courses at the same time and they haven't taken the overview, so they can be successful, but it's just a little bit more difficult trying to because you don't have the full context of where that detail is going.
Yeah, that's pretty important. It's harder to fit it together when you've done the overview.
Yeah, it's like trying to build a puzzle without seeing the picture on the front of the box, right?
Well, maybe not that bad, but that would be bad.
Well, thanks for that. That's great. Diane, I'm glad you rejoined us because I think this question is for you. What is the total price and duration for the PMP course? And as an international applicant, do you provide accommodation?
Let me just grab the course there. For the Proj 120?
Yeah, the PMP course, yeah, the total price and duration.
Okay, so we have a couple intakes available for the PMP, one starting in September 6th. So the total cost for the course itself is $1,660. So that course runs from September 6th to October 1st. I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Just in regards to being an international applicant, do you provide accommodation?
We don't provide accommodation, but we do have accommodations on campus. We do have state residences that have guest accommodations that students are welcome. If you want more information, we can provide you with the link for them.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, next question. I think this is for Cindy or Neil. Who can or should take your Proj 120 PMP exam prep course aside from a person eligible to write the PMP exam?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, where is the PMP prep headed with respect to was it included as part of your overall program design?
No, it's not part of the certificate of completion. So it's designed for people that want to get their PMP. It could also be what I think is great is if someone, a few years back or something got their PMP and they wanted to refresh their knowledge, right? So it was a number of years ago and they just want to take it. It's a very rapid, well, Neil, it's a rapid, you go through all the aspects, the things that would be on an exam, but it really does update your knowledge in project management. So, and you would get PDUs as well.
Yeah, but it is very focused on passing that exam, right? So that I think your ideal participant is going to be somebody who says, I've got some experience under my belt. I know that I meet the other eligibility requirements to write the PMP exam. And now I want to go through very specifically and deliberately with a facilitator guide to help me study to be able to pass that test.
Great, thank you, Neil. We have 2 more questions and then we're going to wrap it up. The next question is, if I am trying to get my CAPM, would it make any sense for me to take Proj 120 or for an overview, or should I take Proj 020?
020, I would say. How about you, Cindy?
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is that, as we've mentioned, the project management essentials gives you the end-to-end, the key principles, key practices. You leave that or finish that micro-credential, obtain it, and you go back and you manage projects better in your, you're working to the CAPM, but immediately you can apply all those learnings. So yeah, definitely.
Right, and last question here. If you have already taken a few of the courses in the applied version, will it be acknowledged that it's completed in the new version starting July 1st?
Hi. So I can definitely work with the student. If you would like to reach out to us, I can take a look at your completed courses and we can do a comparison from the old program to the new program.
All right, thank you so much for that, Diane. And thank you to everyone for taking time out of your day. We sincerely appreciate all the questions this afternoon and for sticking around just a little bit longer to get those answered. So thank you so much to Cindy, Neil, and Diane for being our subject matter experts today. If anyone has any further questions, we really do encourage you to reach out to our advising team at conedadvising@sate.ca. And of course, you can also get all the information about continuing education and professional studies at coned.sate.ca. And thank you again for joining us. This presentation was recorded today, so we will be following up with a full recording so that you can get any more information that you might need.
Thank you.